Alright, welcome back to the shop. While the Bronco is being painted, we're going to work on a few other things, and we'll bring you along. We're going to be coating the fiberglass topper. We're going to use the Upol Raptor Liner product. Tonight, we're not going to do that. I think we're going to just try to seam seal it, get some accessories and trim painted on it, and a few other things. So let's take a look at it. So what we've done so far is go over every surface with 80 grit, and then we pressure washed it. It basically got everything off of it. Looks pretty good. Then we chipped everything out of these little seam corners right here. We're going to use some seam sealer on that to close that up, and then get it ready to use the Raptor liner on it. Hopefully within the next day or two. So some other things that we're going to be working on are polishing some of the trim, and some of the plastic pieces that are inside of this. We're going to get that prepped and painted as well. You can see that these old ABS plastic pieces are used to be white. They're now orange or whatever. So we're going to paint those black, and then later on we'll polish some trim. Alright, so got a couple of coats on. You can see I ran out right down here on this bottom rail. I got pretty good coverage everywhere else. The main areas that you can see, I got pretty good. A little bit of tiger striping on the top, so on my second and third coats I'm going to try to even that out a little bit. But overall, it's pretty good. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, so the second coat turned out a lot better. I'm going to continue on to a third coat here in just 1 second. Just need to mix some more material and I'll be ready to go. But check out the second coat. Coloring is much more even. There's still a little bit of shininess that I think will go away as it cures a little bit more, but much more even and complete. I don't know. I like it. All right, well, we've got the side windows in, or what they call the quarter windows in. We don't have the locking strip in, mostly because I forgot to order that. But basically we just sprayed some soapy water all the way around, set it in from the outside, and you can see that from the video. And then we, before we got started, we put string all the way around the inside of the notch where it fits on the inside, and then we just pulled that string and then worked it all the way around on the inside. All right, so we just pulled that out with the string all the way around. It took us a little bit of working, and we had some plastic spudgers that little plastic pry bars that we use for interior trim that we used on that. It worked out pretty well. One thing I did do was, you'll notice I did not spray in here. I may come back and paint that black instead of using the spray, mostly because I didn't want to mess up where the trim or the window seal sits against the back side. There's another spot on the very front too, where it seals against the body, that I did not put anything or did not spray anything. So. And the last thing, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the interesting things that I figured out while doing this. We had done or attempted this about 6-8 months ago with Owl's liner. Did not work out nearly this well. With the Raptor liner, it works out really, really nicely because it comes in these little spray bottles or these little mixing bottles. You just dump the hardener in. Now, one unique thing there, I want to say unique because it was not clear from the instructions, is they just tell you to dump the hardener in here, and I had to look, and it says 250 milliliters, I think, and it looks from the instructions like you're just supposed to pour it in here till it's full. That is not the case. You're basically supposed to fill it up till it's about to that line right there, and that was not clear to me at all when I did it. So I was actually measuring out exactly how much it said in the document that I got and downloaded from the Upol site, and then I was putting that in there. But if you wanted to, if you didn't care as much, you could actually just fill it up to this little line in the bottle, and then spend lots of time shaking it up. Now the gun, the threads on this will only screw onto the Upol bottle. However, on Amazon, there is an identical gun. Notice there's no Upol brand on it, that will screw onto spray bottles from Home Depot. So if you did want to do this and use a different product or something like that, since I've got all the Upol stuff, and I'm a big fan of this stuff now, so I'll probably just keep buying this. It doesn't matter to me that this gun only works on these bottles. I'll rinse a couple of these bottles out and I'll have them for spraying other stuff if I ever wanted to. But for the most part, I'm probably just going to continue using Raptor. I did not have nearly as much luck with the Owls. So my quick opinion on those things. Alright, so one of the next major things we've got to work through is this particular model of Bronco has a ton of trim on it. It's got what's called racetrack trim. It's a trim that goes across the middle part of the door, and then at both the front and back of the truck it loops down and goes around the bottom of the fenders and the door. Literally, it's a racetrack that goes all the way around it. So it's like miles of trim that go around this thing. And obviously, this being an original truck, the trim itself is in pretty bad repair, dented in places, very heavily corroded. So I've got a spare set of trim that came off of another truck that we got out of a junkyard, and between the two we're going to try to put together a complete set of trim for the vehicle. But in the meantime, we want to polish the pieces that are good. So that's what I've been working on. Let me show you some of that. This is one piece that was polished. Here, let me get some so that you can see the difference here. So obviously this one was polished. This is what it looked like straight off of the truck. So pretty big difference. Just cleaned it up a little bit, and I'm going to show you what I did. For this trim that goes across the middle of the body, there's a couple of screws. If you look at the end right here, see if you can see that, there's a screw right there that holds this rubber in. So you take that screw off of both ends and the rubber kind of pops in. You can pull it out, and then I just took it to the sink and rinsed it off, kind of took a brush to it and cleaned it up really well, and it makes a huge difference. So what I'm using a buffing wheel right here, and it's got an arbor on it that came from I think Harbor Freight, but it goes on a regular grinding wheel, and then the cloth wheel attaches to that. And then I've got this brown buffing compound, which is a fairly low impact. It's not very aggressive. It's for copper, brass, and aluminum. And I just got this at Home Depot. So the way it works, I'll show you. You just rub a little compound on it, get it started. Rub a little compound on it, on the wheel. And then work our way down the part. Takes a pretty light touch because this is spinning pretty fast. A typical polishing wheel doesn't need to spin that fast, so pretty light touch. We'll come back with a, you can see the compound gets kind of left on the edges. Work it a few times with the cloth wheel, and then you come back with a cotton cloth and rub the rest off, and it's ready to go. Alright, that's what that same piece looks like after a little bit of work. One thing to be very cautious of as you do this is anywhere where there's a kind of a leading edge that cloth buffing wheel can grab. Be real conscious, be real careful of that, because it will rip this stuff up. It will bend it. I've already messed up one piece because some of the string reached around and grabbed inside of the lip right there and pulled it. But there's some spots like down around in here that's just better left to hand polish. So I don't know, I just thought you guys would like to see that, like to see what we did here. I'm gonna put this back together. A few little last pieces I'll hand polish when the time comes, but I'm gonna put this back together, and then I'll show you what we got in the mail yesterday.